This is a continuation off of my last video. I'll throw an annotation right over here talking about macronutrients, okay? If you haven't watched that, then I recommend watching that before you watch this one. Let's take a little bit of a deeper look into it. Now, I know this is a lot of information for one video, but I'm on a rant now. I watched a video by Layne Norton, and I agree with some of what he says, but he made a claim about clean versus if it fits your macros. If it fits your macros, macro is the shortened version of macronutrients, so your carbs, fats, and proteins. A lot of these IIFYM guys say that as long as you hit your carbs, fats, and protein goals for the day, it doesn't matter what your food sources are. This is true, but he says that clean eating versus IIFYM, okay? So basically what he says is there's no such thing as a clean food. He's like, I have yet to find one person who can explain to me what clean foods are. And I was like, well, there's no textbook definition of what clean foods are, but they're your bro foods, okay? Your bro foods are your micronutrient dense foods, your bodybuilder foods, your chicken, your broccoli, your rice, your sweet potatoes, okay? For proteins, these are your lean cuts of meat, your whey protein, okay? For fats, they're your unsaturated fats. And for your carbs, they're your low glycemic, low GI foods that are high in fiber. Those are what clean foods are. Your glycemic index is basically a scale of 0 to 100, 100 being high glycemic, 0 being low glycemic. The lower you get, the more fiber it usually is, and the slower digesting it is. The higher you get, less fiber, closest to pure glucose that there is, okay? So, things to be aware of. He did elaborate in his video saying that the glycemic index is kind of skewed because in the studies, what they did was they did just the carb source that was tested in result to spiking your insulin after you consume the food. He said that basically it's just carb sources. This is why I feel like you have to have a protein source and a carb source. This is part of the reason why. You have to eat them together because your insulin levels will shoot way up. But if you have a protein source with your carb source, your blood glucose levels will be more regular, and you won't be storing fat as easily, if you will. This is how to lose weight, kind of the science behind losing weight, okay? You have to be in a calorie deficit in order to lose weight. This might not always be the case, but as a general rule of thumb, you have to be in a calorie deficit, meaning your body requires a certain number of calories to maintain your current body weight. For example, we'll just throw out a random number. For me to maintain 190 pounds, I require 3,000 calories. Okay, so a caloric deficit is anything less than that. Easy enough, right? So you have to be in a calorie deficit. Now, how can this be created? By eating less food. I recommend for people to either, one, make a meal plan and follow that, hire a coach or a personal trainer if you desire, or you can track your daily food intake via MyFitnessPal, fitday.com. There's so many different apps out there on smartphones, or you could use a computer if you'd like. To track your progress, or you could just grab a piece of paper and write what you eat on a nutrition label. I recommend the use of a scale so you could be more accurate, but tracking your overall calories is the smart way to go when you're trying to lose weight, because you'll have a better idea of what you can do. That's not the only way. You can, say, lose weight on 3,500 calories. How is that? You have to create your deficit through exercise. Resistance training does burn calories, but not as much as you'd think. So cardiovascular exercise is probably needed in order to, finish out those calories to get you into a deficit. And if you are doing that, you're not going to be in as much of a deficit because you have to take into consideration your basal metabolic rate, which is basically the rate at which your body expends calories. Okay? And a majority of the calories that you burn are not until later on after. Everybody thinks like when you're training you're burning all those calories. No, it's EPOC, basically. Excess post-oxygen consumption, which is basically the burning of calories after you exercise. This is a big thing in high-intensity interval training why that is so effective is the EPOC, because you burn, I think it's up to 15% more calories as opposed to low intensity steady state or something like that. And they say it's more muscle retaining. I'm not quite sure if that's true or not, because that's kind of hard to tell. But in any case, cardiovascular exercise is important when trying to lose weight, because if you couple that with a less severe deficit through food, it's easier to maintain and sustain over a long period of time. Things I recommend for weight loss. I don't recommend using fat loss supplements, fat burners and shit like that. 95% of them don't even fucking work. If anything, I'd use like a natural herb or green tea or some shit like that. But even then, I don't really recommend that kind of stuff. I've tried it and got zero results. You know, I do my weigh-ins each morning, and they don't change more than they normally do. So, I don't know. I'm not a big advocate of them, but if you want to take them, feel free. I recommend eating your clean foods, as I referred to in that video back at the beginning. Clean foods being your bro foods, your micronutrient dense foods. For carb sources, your oatmeal, sweet potato, russet potato, white rice, brown rice, doesn't matter. Chicken, broccoli, peanut butter for fats, olive oil for fats. Those are your good foods. I recommend these over the if it fits your macros. If it fits your macros does work, definitely. But I recommend this way better. Eating cleaner and, you know, living a more healthy, overall healthy lifestyle. So that's basically the end of this video. I wanted to make this one a little bit shorter. Hope this helps in your weight loss journey. Don't forget to subscribe and like my shit.